Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and what we're going to talk about today is raids. And I have a question for you. Are you being as efficient as you can in your raids? Are you getting the most out of your raids that you want to get out? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, if this is your first time finding my channel, consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest videos. All right, let's talk about raids. I really just have 3 tips for you. The first one is about energy. As you know, you have raid energy and you have campaign energy. So you want to use that raid energy as much as you can throughout the day. And that raid energy will regenerate. And it's going to regenerate at 1 raid energy every 15 minutes. So what that means is every 2.5 hours, you're going to regenerate 10 raid energy, which is going to allow you to tackle that next node. But a lot of people don't have enough time to really just run through it, so they wait and then they join the raid later. Well, here's the issue with that. If your raid opens up at 8 o'clock and you don't join it until 1 o'clock, that time that you could regenerate energy, that 5 hours there, could have regenerated 20 raid energy for you, and you could have worked through the next 2 nodes, or you could have had multiple attempts on that one node that's giving you a hard time. So what you want to do is, as soon as your raid opens, you want to hit your first 1 or 2 nodes. You don't have to do all 5 if you don't have time. If you do, great, fantastic. Go ahead and run through all 5. But if you don't have the time, at least hit that first 2 nodes, because then what you're going to do is that's going to give you 5 hours of not even having to worry about it, and you're going to continue to regenerate that raid energy, and that's going to help you progress further in that raid, because as you're using that, you're going to have more opportunities to go ahead and jump in there. Next is assignments. We really want to take a look at team and lane assignments. In my alliance, what we've done is we've assigned teams and we've assigned lanes, and we've assigned them by strongest team power, which may be changing, because if you take a look at raids now, we're being asked to really diversify more. Fox Next has introduced these different traits in the raids, and we're going to jump in the DP raid real quick and go through that and kind of show a couple things. But assignments really help everybody to understand what their path is, and it helps the whole alliance. And just that raid feel just be more smooth. So you want to assign the lanes by difficulty. So the easiest lanes obviously has the member with the lowest STP, and the hardest lanes, the very hard lanes, obviously is going to go to the people who have the highest STP. And you want to balance the teams. So strike team 1, 2, and 3. You want to balance the power between those teams, because if you put all of your heavy hitters into team 1, team 2 and team 3 may struggle a little bit. And kind of back to the traits thing, I think we need to really start taking a look at that overall, because we saw that with the Thanos raid. We're seeing it now with the DP raid. We're having to look at city villains and city heroes and global heroes, or global characters, and we're seeing that in the events with like Miss Marvel just recently, where you need all city villains. I'm not city villains, but you need all city characters in order to progress through that event campaign. So assignments, that's the second tip. The next is going to be know your team, and that may sound pretty simple. Most of these probably sound pretty simple, but you really want to know what your team can do. It's not just about having the best team. It's about knowing what your team can do. So let's go ahead and jump in there, and I'll tell you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in this raid right here, this Enfuego raid. And if we take a look around the raid itself, this one right here, this one requires global heroes. We got one over here that requires city villains. And another one here, city heroes. So with these trait-based nodes, you take a look at the boss too. Deadpool, boss, right there. Only global characters on both sides. So with these types of things being introduced into raids, we really want to start taking a look at those types of things too. My alliance and I, we were discussing today how best to work through that. Should we assign specific traits to specific people? Find out where people's interests are? We don't know. But with what Fox Next has been doing with the raids, you know what? I really think it's kind of cool, actually, because when you take a look at the entire roster, they're really asking us to pay attention to everything, right? And that can be daunting because there's a lot of characters and there's a lot of requirements. But they really want us to be using that entire roster to continue to progress through the end game content. And I think with this being end game content, I think the challenge is awesome. I think they need to make some tweaks here and there. I think the Ultima 6 raid is probably a little more difficult than it should be. But I've also talked to other people who think that it's fine the way it is because they love the challenge. So we're going to run into this DP raid, this node right here. And then I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about as far as knowing what your team can do. All right, so this is the team that I've chosen for my global heroes. And the reason is because I don't have a global healer. So I use Scarlet Witch for that. And then because of Scarlet Witch being on the team, I put Vision in there because they're a really strong combo together. So we're going to go ahead and jump in there. All right, so knowing my team, and what I'm talking about there really is knowing the limits of your team and the strengths of your team. So Black Widow, she always comes up first for me. That third ability there, Widow's Bite, I always use that on the one I'll get the biggest bang for my buck for, right? So I'm not going to use it on characters like Jessica Jones. I'm not going to use it on Nick Fury because it really doesn't stick. I use it quite a bit in Arena and Blitz on Crossbones, and it sticks with him for a long time. But so typically in this instance here, I'll go ahead and use it on Ultron because it usually works pretty well. Well, he shook it off that time. Let's go ahead and do my Inspire. I'm going to block his ability. All right, so here, so with Scarlet Witch, her second ability here balances the health between all of my raid team. That I think is really going to help right now because she's almost dead. So let's go ahead and do that. It also gives Deflect, which helps with my survivability right now. I'm going to take some of Ultron's buffs off. And let's use Camouflage. That's another thing too with Black Widow. I never use the Camouflage on the first turn because when you first jump into a node, you pretty much have your speed bar full right when you jump in anyway. So I always use Camouflage on the second turn for Black Widow. Let's get some more buffs off of these guys. All right, this one's going to be a little bit of a tough node, it seems. But, all right, so my speed down. So for this, for Quake, for my slow, I'm going to position it in the best spot so that I can impact the most number of enemies, right? So I'll click that guy right there, and I should get 3 or 4 of them. Yep, I got 4 of them. And then I'm going to start knocking some of these guys off. I'll knock that one off. I knew Ultron was going to attack there. He's almost dead, so let's go ahead and take care of Ultron. So now here's another thing. The reason why I paired Scarlet Witch up with Vision is because his Solar Beam here, when paired up with Scarlet Witch, applies a bleed. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Boom. That was good. It doesn't matter really now. I've only got the 3 characters. It doesn't matter really who I stun, so I'm going to stun this person and hopefully get a good chain off of that. Take that guy out. And just for fun, we'll do this. And then they're taken care of. So that's what I really mean by knowing what your characters can do, know what your team can do, know the limitations, know the best place to apply Quake's slow, or the best time to use Black Widow's Bite. And this applies to all the different characters because they've got so many abilities and so much going on. You really want to optimize that damage and that control as much as possible. So that's what I have for you, really. Just the 3 raid tips about energy, maximizing the use of your energy, hitting those first 1 or 2 nodes as soon as your raid is open so that you can continue to regenerate that energy throughout the day. Team and lane assignments, I think with that, applying the STP to the lane difficulty has really helped my alliance progress through these raids pretty well. However, we do need to start thinking about those trait-specific nodes that we talked about with global heroes and city villains and things like that. And then the third tip is really about knowing your team, knowing the speed order, who's going to attack first, when's the best time to use those abilities, and then as far as the team thing goes, is really diversify, because in the beginning we're all working towards getting the strongest team power, and I think now more than ever, and I know some people have talked about this over time. Now more than ever, we're looking more at collection power. We're looking more at diversifying. So we want to be able to attack those different events that we have. Like right now, we've got Nick Fury going to start tomorrow, and we need Kree. I am nowhere near ready to unlock Nick Fury because my Kree, I never paid attention to him, and it's just minions that you can use, right? So I think I think the more that we pay attention to the raids and how we can maximize our efficiency in the raids, that's what I have for you. I appreciate everybody stopping by and taking a look at it. I'd be curious in what you have to say. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? What works best for you? What raid tips do you have? I'd be interested in reading that in the comment section below. Thanks again for stopping by and watching the video. And as always, if you like the video, please make sure to hit that like button. All right, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.